I just finished watching Frieren Beyond Journey's End, and it was one of the best TV shows I've ever seen. From its brilliant animation to its subtle character development over its 28 episodes, this show was perfect. But as I was watching the show, I couldn't shake off this feeling, this craving for something, as I began to get inspired. As is routine when I watch a really good fleshed out fantasy adventure TV show or movie, I begin to want to go on an adventure like theirs myself. I want to have a grand goal or motivation and traverse through the land, exploring new places, meeting new people, and sleeping under the stars. But, well, why? Why do I have this desire to pack up my stuff and get going, go on any kind of adventure? Really, what is it with human nature and the desire to adventure? Well, one of the ways I'm using to answer the question is to go out and experience this feeling in the real world. And as a plus, if I can recreate this feeling without watching a show or movie, then I can become Bilbo Baggins. I'm going to be testing 3 different methods to try and fulfill the desire of going on an adventure without actually going on some long-ass adventure. All in the hopes to recreate this feeling I have when I consume this media. The first of which is exploring my backyard. Listen, I never said that it was going to be interesting. Now again, for my first method, I'm going to be exploring my backyard. Going around, seeing what there is to see, and hopefully along the way, I'll find a magic ring. Alright, so here's the game plan. I'm in my garage right now, and I'm going to explore my backyard, see what I can find, and hopefully can find a sense of adventure along the way. If not, I have 2 other methods. It's fine. Alright, let's go. We have a very nice trail view here. Big opening. And what we're gonna do is not get bitten by a snake. Also what we're gonna do is go into the forest behind that, because I'm pretty sure there's like a platform, a wooden platform that you can like go onto. I'm gonna feel like I'm fucking Frodo when I do that shit. Okay, time for the difficult part. There could be a snake in any of this. And I'm not trying to get bitten by a copperhead snake. I should put like the fucking like stock dramatic music on this. Oh shit. Ooh. We've made it past that whole mess. And, ooh, something a bit darker. Oh shit. Back on track? I'm gonna be more attentive this time. Gotta make sure also that I'm not going on other people's property. Oh my fucking god. Holy shit. That's cool as fuck. That is a skull. Whoa. If you see that, if you look at that, the way that the skull came together. I don't know if that should be like a bad omen or something. I'm gonna get fucking haunted or some shit. Oh my god. So, funny story. I may or may not have been on somebody else's property. I'm not trying to go breaking the law here, but I don't think that they saw us, so I think we're fine. I honestly did not know how hectic this was gonna be. There's shit all around me, bro. The ground just feels uneven, but if you look up here, what is that? It's a ladder. Whoa, shit, this is not stable. Yay. That platform was not safe. What, we got here, climbed up, we're climbing back down now. Now we're gonna do what's called a match cut. And we're back. Not gonna lie, that was pretty fun. I thought that was gonna be like boring, just walk, climb. But no. Now, the question is, did it fulfill my need for adventure? Now I know it might not be groundbreaking news, but you know, exploring one backyard, going for a walk, doesn't exactly tame the overarching feeling of wanting to go on an adventure. I mean, yeah, it was fun, but like, there wasn't a goal. It was just like, go, like, adventure. And sometimes you don't need a goal, but I think we need to take it to the next level. Now, I had fun exploring my backyard. I saw and did things that I hadn't before, and I generally just had new experiences. And this desire to adventure and do new things, much like my mini adventure in my backyard, comes from a very primal place in our brains, and is tied to the magic brain word, Dopamine. Humans are just naturally curious. As toddlers, we'll question things to the point of insanity, and hell, some of us still do that. Curiosity is often the reason why we're drawn to footage of horrible things happening, like car crashes. But what does this have to do with adventuring? Well, the desire to go see new places and people comes from this basal curiosity within humans. And going on an adventure, meeting new people, and going to new places would absolutely satisfy this curiosity. From a research paper on nature.com, I know, great source choice, because imaginary worlds are unknown fictional settings, they can be seen as new environments that consumers discover. And this makes sense. You're able to interact with a world that, while having a lot of the same elements as real life, brings a lot more new stuff to the table. And the easiest example of this in fiction would be magic. Magic is this abstract concept that gives characters and stories so much more power than they do in real life. Is there something oddly specific that you want to happen? There's a spell for that. Do you want the power of literal gods in your two hands? Well, there's a whole section of magic for that. And the thing about magic is, because it's so flexible across media, you can utilize your imagination to come up with whatever kind of magic you want. I mean, there's quite literally a spell in D&D called Wish. And so when you present a reader with a vast open world, like many of the ones shown in fantasy literature, you invoke this primal urge in them to explore and accomplish, ultimately resulting in the customer wanting to do that in the real world. And that's a big reason why when you see Frieren, Stark, and Fern wandering through a forest, or Frodo leaving the Shire, you have a tendency to want to mimic them. Now, yes, there is a craving for new information, curiosity, but there's also a craving for purpose and belonging. Now, usually when you read, watch, or listen to these adventures into the unknown through danger and peril, they have a goal, a set endpoint. And maybe it's a sense of purpose that inspires a quest of the consumer's own. Now, probably the most notable fantastical quest in 20th century literature will be that of the Lord of the Rings, and of Frodo Baggins' quest to destroy the One Ring and bring peace back to Middle-earth. In the book, Frodo, along with his group of adventurers, must travel through Middle-earth to save it. And this kind of an adventure would absolutely fill someone with purpose and meaning, even. Especially considering the fact that Frodo doesn't do it on his own. I mean, he is the most important member of the Fellowship, but without characters like Sam, Aragorn, Gandalf, and the others, Frodo never would have actually saved Middle-earth. And while viewing this camaraderie, it's normal or even expected to get a sense of appreciation or longing for the fellowship you have with the people around you. I mean, when you think of someone adventuring, you'd almost always picture them with other people. It'd kind of be weird if you didn't do that. Sure, you could have an adventure by yourself, but such a big appeal of this fantasy is you get to experience it with others. People you can laugh, cry, and fight with. People you can share a sense of belonging with. And fiction of this nature is enough to get anyone daydreaming about packing up their bags and going on an adventure, especially if your life, as it is, doesn't give you a sense of purpose or belonging. This kind of purpose originates partly from a desire to be part of something bigger than yourself. And honestly, you don't need to throw something into Mount Doom to get that kind of purpose. If you can find something that fulfills you, that's great. But due to the extra layer of fantasy added to these stories, simultaneously makes them more consumable and more accessible. Any message or story can be much more succinctly woven into a piece of fiction than that of non-fiction. But back to my point, the sense of perceived purpose can be a big reason why we have this craving. And since our last method didn't work, we're on to method 2. The next method I'll be trying out is camping in my backyard. I couldn't find a different place to camp, so I hope I don't dox my backyard, and I don't really have a tent, so I'm just gonna be using a hammock. Alright, looking very spooky tonight, but it's late, and that means we're gonna sleep in the backyard. I gotta set up the hammock, and then that's really it, and then I'm gonna go to sleep. And hopefully what will happen is I'll sleep with nature, and then I can wake up, feel rested with all of nature, and then that'll be like a mini adventure in itself. Let's go. Hammock acquired. Lighting's done. Let's do this. That took, like, way shorter than I thought it was gonna take. Adventuring is easy, bro. Alright, I made the hammock. All I gotta do is sleep in it now. You know, there are bugs and other things, but I should be fine, right? And if I wake up and I'm like, so I thought I saw a bug on my hand,
And if I wake up and I'm deathly sick, like, it's for the content, it's for the YouTube, bro. Anyways, I'm gonna head to bed now. And by head to bed, I mean exhaust the short battery life of my phone. There really wasn't much to this one. Yeah, except for the sleeping part. I'll tell you my thoughts in the morning anyways.
But unfortunately, morning never came.
It's been like an hour and a half. I can't get any sleep. I've been... Jesus Christ. I've been getting a little paranoid. Honestly, that's not the problem. I just can't frickin' go to sleep. I don't think I need to go to sleep to tell you this is a failure. Because I'm not feeling very adventurous right now. I'm feeling very fucking tired right now. I was like, this is gonna be such a great idea. I'm gonna have a good time. It's gonna be easy. No. No. And the thing is, there's no reward to it either. So it's all this pain and no reward. And this is me trying to justify going outside, which I'm gonna do. But still, hold on. We still have one method left. It's one last trick up my sleeve.
Now, I'm not gonna lie, that was a complete and total failure. But we still have one more method to test, and so we'll see if that pans out. Now, as humans, we have our fight and flight responses. Bodily functions that are supposed to alert us when there's danger. But we haven't had to use these systems for thousands upon thousands of years. So in replacement, we've manufactured these places that you can go to experience the same kind of thrill, but without any of the actual danger. These, as you can probably deduce by now, are theme parks. And we manufactured them because we had nothing better to do. And people love them. It allows them a break from the painful mundanity of their routines, schedules, and systems that they can sometimes feel trapped in. And I think, in effect, the allure of an adventure, especially in the modern day, is that risk, that thrill. Now, the risk of an adventure isn't nearly as apparent as something like running from a saber-toothed tiger would be, but there's still this underlying feeling of thrill and risk, and that motivates an adventure. The risk of not fully knowing what you're doing, not knowing if you'll make it. Do we have enough food? Are we safe here? And the root of this, again, seems to be in the perceived mundanity of modern day life. Just like theme parks, adventures offer an opportunity to shut off the boring parts of our brain while activating the exciting parts. But perhaps one of the biggest reasons why audiences seem to want to mimic the adventures of these fictional characters is that they want to understand more. Be it understanding yourself, someone else, or really just any kind of concept. That, in a nutshell, is what every single one of us is trying to do every single day. It's this unshakable feeling, this desire. It's this constant trying, something we can't shake. Something that we're always doing. And we see in our media that these characters that go on these big, purposeful adventures, along the way develop and find themselves within, despite how corny that sounds. They gain a deeper understanding of themselves through the adventure. And the way that is represented a lot of the times in media is that to solve all your problems, you need to upend your life completely as it is and travel to somewhere entirely different. And while traveling to, say, a different country can absolutely develop you as a person, all of the development is coming from the inside, from yourself. The reason you stopped being a loser wasn't because you went to Italy or something, it's because you grew as a person. Now, again, travel can definitely facilitate growth, but it's not the cause of growth. And this is the whole appeal. Unfortunately, part of the desire for adventure comes from the fact that you want to understand yourself more, but you don't actually want to put in the effort to dig deep within yourself, so instead you think that just going on an adventure is going to solve your problems. And the idea that if you can detach yourself from what you're being burdened by, then you can start to understand what is being burdened, and you can grow. And this venture for self-discovery is alluring at the very least. Now, all of the methods I've tried so far haven't been very effective, but I think I found out why. If I truly want to have a sense of completion and adventure, I need to build something that is integral to society, something that our ancestors even hundreds of thousands of years ago were making, something that protects you from the cold. As my last attempt at fulfilling my dream to have an adventure, I'll be building a fire. I'll need wood, a pit, and a lot of patience. Alright, so the plan for this is very simple. Get the fire, make the fire, nothing more to that. Hopefully before the sun goes down, because out of no lighting. Alright, let's get some wood. Alright, now we have to actually go make the fire. But as I was building the fire, I wasn't feeling anything particularly special. I was just kind of miserable. It was hot outside, I spent upwards of 45 minutes getting everything ready, and hell, this wasn't even the first time I attempted this. But then, just at my lowest, I realized something. Something enlightening. And we're better to tell you about it than in front of a fire. Also, yes, I am wearing pajama pants, don't worry about it. The life of a sloth is one of peace and stillness. Throughout the day, they do little more than eat and sleep. They poop only once a week, so it would be safe to say that they don't do much. The life of a bee is one of community. As a bee, you are born into your job position. Your life is dedicated to the hive. You are to maintain the collective, and that's it. Many bees are busy all throughout the day, cleaning the hive and gathering pollen, but they don't have much autonomy of their own. The life of a wolf is one of family. Wolves do virtually everything together. They eat, sleep, move, and hunt together. There's rarely a time where you would see a wolf by himself, and even if you were to, it would not be a very long time until that wolf made a pack of its own or joined another. But despite everything about the animal kingdom, nowhere else in it will you find a species that loves to conquer, adventure, more than humans. And that's weird, right? It's as if we have some craving for information, for knowledge, that other animals just simply don't have. A sloth wouldn't leave its tree, that's its home. A bee wouldn't leave its hive, that's its whole purpose of living. And a wolf wouldn't abandon its pack just to go see what's over there. I, like most people, have this craving for information. It's not exactly my fault. My brain naturally prioritizes getting stimulation and information over anything else. But this curiosity about the world doesn't just extend outside of myself. Really? Really, you're gonna die on me? You're gonna die on me, okay. I seek out and try to discover who I am, and solve the things that are plaguing my conscience. But I must be careful in putting all of my eggs into the basket of adventure, because saying that this will fix me, this will solve all of my problems, is a lie. There's no one and nothing coming to save me. I'd like to think I could just escape all of my problems by, just dropping everything out of my life and living in the woods? The idea that this is something that I want is far-reaching at best. No, rather I'm attached to the idea that I can just release any responsibilities or worries that I have right now. However small or menial they may be, I somehow think that just getting up and leaving will solve my problems. But of course, this is not the case. If I were to do something like this, I would just carry my problems with me. Because to get rid of a problem is to come to terms with it, and then mend it. But if I'm constantly seeking refuge in the idea that I can just walk 4,000 miles and that would get rid of all of my problems, I'm never facing them, and I'm never mending the problem. And any time that I could spend fixing the problem, I otherwise spend running from it. And ironically enough, the faster I try to run away from these problems, the faster they catch up. Now, don't get me wrong. Letting yourself get immersed in these fictional worlds is fine. Great, even. You can allow yourself an escape before confronting life again a little bit more refreshed. But in the end, any problem that you don't face, any problem left unseen, is a problem that you will take to your grave. And rather than running, I will stand and see these problems for how they really are. And then, I don't know, maybe I'll go on an adventure.